and welcome to the Jack Chat Show. This is the fourth chat that. Good day, and welcome to the Jack Chat Show. I'm Jack Bybee, and I'm the host and presenter and near-death experiencer of the Jack Chat Show. I welcome you. The response to the show, with a minimum amount of marketing, has quite frankly been astounding. I welcome you in Egypt, in India, believe it or not, my home country of South Africa. Welcome. Alles van die beste, hoor. I see people from Russia, China, Germany, around the world. It's wonderful. I greet you from Arizona, where the mountains are blue and the sky is bluer, and the rattlesnakes rattle as well. I had a near-death experience way back in 1972 as I was trying to get out of apartheid South Africa. That's history. It's over. It's done with. It was a marvelous experience. But, my friends, everything I tell you is subjective. There is nothing that I can prove that will show that that there is no empirical evidence that I can show you or anyone else. I can steer you to the resource page on the jackchatshow.com, and I can steer you to evidence that NDE researchers have done, an accumulation of data, but in the end, it's all subjective. My reason for doing this, my reason for the show, the rationale, is simply, as I've said, I think it was in the very first or second Jack Chat, that it is to help you prepare for the inevitable. I was caught completely by surprise. I hope you won't be. Okay, that's the recap. Let's get on with the chat. I experimented a little bit this past week, and I created a trailer, almost a preview of the show. If you responded to that preview, that trailer, please send me an email, or even faster, at Jack Chat Show, @ Jack Chat Show. That's my tweet handle, my Twitter handle, Twitter, whatever. Anyway, I'd love to know how you learned about the show. If you help me, I can respond to you. As I've said before, I have spoken with a number of people who know far more about religion and psychology than I doubt I ever will. And not one of them can come up with an explanation, and that is or an explanation that I ask, where in the religious, psychological, in the philosophical, that you know so much about, where is there a description of life on the other side, in death consciousness? And the answer is there isn't. And what I've taken a couple of weeks and months really to wrap my head around, as they say here in the States, to gain an understanding of, is the fact that I don't know what you call them, my fellow NDEers, my fellow near-death experiencers, they're the ones who can corroborate pretty much what I say. But other than that, there's not much out there. So it's rather an interesting little path of discovery. Okay, what is coming up? I have an interview in the show in a few minutes' time with Dr. Libby Smith. She's up in Flagstaff, Arizona, and she will be telling us about one or one of her experiences, she works with vibrations, energy vibrations, as well as with horses. And I have a 10-minute interview with Dr. Smith. I've mentioned a couple of times the three questions that I maintain are probably the most important three questions that anybody, any spirit, will have to answer. Those three questions are: what have you done with the life just past? Whom have you loved and been loved by? And what have you learned? Let's take the first question. I ran this past a friend of mine, and he looked at me and he said, well, the first thing you've got to realize is that it wasn't said in anger or or in a domineering manner. The voice of the being of light, once you've heard it, or rather, let me put it this way: once I've heard it, I'll never forget that voice again. Kind, loving, authoritarian, yes, but in a commanding manner, but a loving commanding manner, if you can understand that. Um, and my friend said to me, but perhaps you should try answering the question yourself. And so I tried. It's not very easy. I mean, I was asked this question as my spirit transitioned from the earth plane to the other side. What have you done with the life just past? Well, if I had to try to answer that question now, there are three things that I feel, or four things really, that I feel very, very proud about. For one, I was seriously ill, seriously ill. I've overcome that. How? Mind over matter, quite frankly. Two, thanks to the American taxpayer, I'm now educated. I have a BA, or soon will have a BA, and I'll have the certificate to prove it as well. Thirdly, I have a marvelous child, absolutely marvelous, that I am totally astounded with. And the very last thing that's just come to 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 fruition, I suppose it would be the best word, is you, me taking this show and putting it onto the internet and trying to help you. What have I done with the life just past? When I get asked that question again, well, I hope I would have helped one or two of you out there on this beautiful planet of ours and helped you understand that in the end, when your time and my time come, it's not the end. It's really just the beginning of another phase. Hold on, please. I just have to make a few adjustments. What, of course, I really don't know if I'm succeeding with the Jack Chat show for a very simple reason that I haven't had, or I have very little response from you, the viewer. Please send me a tweet, send me a comment on the jackchatshow.com, and we'll get on to the next. We'll get on to Dr. Libby Smith's interview in a few minutes' time. I'm just, she's going to be very shortly to tell us about her work with energy and vibrations. Before we get there, I'd like to cover quickly after the interview. I'd like to cover what Kenneth Ring one of the foremost NDE researchers here in the United States talks about as planetary visions. These are visions that people like myself, the near-death experiencer, are shown on the other side. And I'm going to run a couple of those past you just so you can puzzle over that. The other thing I'd like to touch on is something I read in Carl Gustav Jung's Psychology and Western Religion. And it's something that is very, very interesting to me. It deals with right, it deals with wrong, and it deals with time. And especially time on the other end is non existent. Time, right, and wrong. Jung, at last, I found someone who actually agrees with me that these are all constructs of man. Yes, the near death experiencer gets to be philosophical and medical and psychological and religious. Stay tuned. Here comes Dr. Libby any moment now. Hold on, please.